Hi, Los Niños Roadrunners. My name is Mrs. Halko, and I teach orchestra at your school. I want to tell you how much I miss seeing everybody. I have the great pleasure of being able to teach some very talented and wonderful human beings in the 5th and 6th grade who are learning how to play string instruments. But I really admire all of the students and teachers at Los Niños. I love walking through the halls and seeing classes that were hard at work, learning new things, and I really do miss everyone so much. So when the invitation came to read a story that could be shared to the Los Niños community, I thought, I'm up for it. I love to read as much as I love music, and I'm going to share with you one of my favorite books today, and it's called Miss Rumpus. Okay, Miss Rumpus was written and illustrated by Barbara Cooney. And yes, the character has a funny name, doesn't she? But the story is so beautiful, I hope you'll give it a chance and read along with me. One thing I wanted to point out on the cover are these beautiful flowers. These are called lupines, and they are something special to the main character. And one of her nicknames that she gets in the story is the Lupine Lady, and let's find out why. But most importantly, the message of this book is about how we can make the world a more beautiful place. So let's have a listen. Miss Rumpus. The Lupine Lady lives in a small house overlooking the sea. In between the rocks around her house grow blue and purple and rose-colored flowers. The Lupine Lady is little and old, but she has not always been that way. I know. She is my great-aunt, and she told me so. Once upon a time, she was a little girl named Alice, who lived in a city by the sea. From the front stoop, she could see the wharves and the bristling masts of tall ships. Many years ago, her grandfather had come to America on a large sailing ship. You see Alice? That's Miss Rumpus when she was a little girl, and you see she can see the sea from her front stoop, the front stairs of her apartment building. Now he worked in the shop at the bottom of the house, making figureheads for the prows of ships and carving Indians out of wood to put in front of cigar stores. For Alice's grandfather was an artist. He painted pictures, too, of sailing ships and places across the sea. When he was very busy, Alice helped him put in the skies. Here's the ship. And here is the grandfather making wooden figureheads to go at the front of the ships. And there's little Alice. She's helping paint in the skies of some of her grandfather's artwork. In the evening, Alice sat on her grandfather's knee and listened to his stories of faraway places. When he had finished, Alice would say, "When I grow up, I too will go to faraway places, and when I grow old, I too will live beside the sea." "That is all very well, little Alice," said her grandfather, "but there is a third thing you must do." "What is that?" asked Alice. "You must do something to make the world more beautiful," said her grandfather. "All right," said Alice, but she did not know what that could be. In the meantime, Alice got up and washed her face and ate porridge for breakfast. She went to school and came home and did her homework. And pretty soon she was grown up. There's Alice sitting on her grandfather's lap listening to him tell stories. And do you remember the 3 things that she wants to do? She wants to go to faraway places. She wants to live by the sea when she gets old. But her grandfather also says that she has to learn to make the world a more beautiful place. Let's find out how she does it. Then my great-aunt Alice set out to do the 3 things she had told her grandfather she was going to do. She left home and went to live in another city far from the sea and the salt air. There she worked in a library, dusting books and keeping them from getting mixed up, and helping people find the ones they wanted. Some of the books told her about faraway places. People called her Miss Rumphius now. Here's the library from the outside, and there it is on the inside. She's grown up now. Do you see her helping the children in the library? Sometimes she went to the conservatory in the middle of the park. When she stepped inside on a wintry day, the warm, moist air wrapped itself around her, and the sweet smell of jasmine filled her nose. "This is almost like a tropical isle," said Miss Rumphius, "but not quite." Here's the conservatory. See, it's a snowy day, and she wants to visit someplace warm with plants and beautiful things. So Miss Rumphius went to a real tropical island where people kept cockatoos and monkeys as pets. She walked on long beaches picking up beautiful shells. One day she met the Baparaha, king of a fishing village. "You must be tired," he said. "Come into my house and rest." So Miss Rumphius went in and met the Baparaha's wife. The Baparaha himself fetched a green coconut and cut a slice off the top so that Miss Rumphius could drink the coconut water inside. Before she left, the Baparaha gave her a beautiful mother-of-pearl shell on which he had painted a bird of paradise and the words, "You will always remain in my heart." "You will always remain in mine too," said Miss Rumphius. Here's the tropical isle, which means island. And there she is, meeting basically like the king of the island, and he has a big family, doesn't he? But he was very generous and shared with her what he had. My great-aunt, Miss Alice Rumphius, climbed tall mountains where the snow never melted. She went through jungles and across deserts. She saw lions playing and kangaroos jumping, and everywhere she made friends she would never forget. Finally, she came to the land of the lotus eaters, and there, getting off a camel, she hurt her back. "What a foolish thing to do," said Miss Rumphius. "Well, I have certainly seen faraway places. Maybe it is time for me to find my place by the sea." And it was, and she did. So here she is on her exotic travels. And when she was getting off the camel after all of her adventures, see over here, she's climbing mountains. She's so brave. But it was getting off a camel where she hurt her back and decided that she needed to find her place by the sea. From the porch of her new house, Miss Rumphius watched the sun come up. She watched it cross the heavens and sparkle on the water, and she saw it set in glory in the evening. She started a little garden among the rocks that surrounded her house, and she planted a few flower seeds in the stony ground. Miss Rumphius was almost perfectly happy. "But there is still one more thing I have to do," she said. "I have to do something to make the world more beautiful." "But what? The world already is pretty nice," she thought, looking out over the ocean. Here's her little house by the sea, just like she dreamed of. The next spring, Miss Rumphius was not very well. Her back was bothering her again, and she had to stay in bed most of the time. The flowers she had planted the summer before had come up and bloomed in spite of the stony ground. She could see them from her bedroom window, blue and purple and rose-colored. "Lupines," said Miss Rumphius with satisfaction. "I have always loved lupines the best. I wish I could plant more seeds this summer so that I could still have more flowers next year." but she was not able to. So here she is, sick in bed. And look at the window. Do you see the flowers peeking up? Those are the lupines. And here comes winter. After a hard winter, spring came. Miss Rumphius was feeling much better. Now she could take walks again. One afternoon she started to go up and over the hill, and where she had not been in a long time. "I don't believe my eyes," she cried when she got to the top, for there on the other side of the hill was a large patch of blue and purple and rose-colored lupines. "It was the wind," she said as she knelt in delight. "It was the wind that brought the seeds from my garden here, and the birds must have helped." Then Miss Rumphius had a wonderful idea. Do you recognize this illustration? My kids would call that the magic picture, because it matches the cover, doesn't it? She hurried home and got out her seed catalogs. She sent off to the very best seed house for 5 bushels of lupine seed. All that summer, Miss Rumphius, her pockets full of seeds, wandered over fields and headlands sowing lupines. She scattered seeds along the highways and down the country lanes. She flung handfuls of them around the schoolhouse and back of the church. She tossed them into hollows and along stone walls. Her back didn't hurt her any more at all. Now some people called her that crazy old lady, because she's sprinkling seeds everywhere. There she is ordering the seeds from a catalog, kind of like we go online to order things from the internet now. And there she is, walking through the countryside, sprinkling seeds everywhere she goes. What do you think is going to happen next? The next spring, there were lupines everywhere. Fields and hillsides were covered with blue and purple and rose-colored flowers. They bloomed along the highways and down the lanes. Bright patches lay around the schoolhouse and back of the church. Down in the hollows and along the stone walls grew the beautiful flowers. Miss Rumphius had done the third, the most difficult thing of all. Look at how those flowers have spread and made her community a more beautiful place to be. And I bet not only did they bring Miss Rumphius joy, but probably all the people who drove or walked through the countryside and the town, they probably appreciated it, don't you think? My great-aunt Alice, Miss Rumphius, is very old now. Her hair is very white. Every year there are more and more lupines. Now they call her the Lupine Lady. Sometimes my friends stand with me outside her gate, curious to see the old lady who planted the fields of lupines. When she invites us in, they come slowly. They think she is the oldest woman in the world. Often she tells us stories of faraway places. When I grow up, I tell her, I too will go to faraway places and come home to live by the sea. That is all very well, little Alice, says my aunt, but there is a third thing you must do. What is that? I ask. You must do something to make the world more beautiful. All right, I say. Oh, let me show you the illustrations. Here's the kids waiting outside Miss Rumphius's front gate. They're curious. They want to meet the Lupine Lady, but she's so old. They feel a bit shy about her. And then here they are. She invites them in. And there is her great niece. And her name, I believe, also is Alice. Okay, so let me read this line one more time. You must do something to make the world more beautiful. All right, I say, but I do not know yet what that can be. Look at all the children enjoying the beautiful lupines that Miss Rumphius planted. And now little Alice is inspired to make the world a more beautiful place too. And that's one of the things that I think is so important for us to remember during this time. Things can be pretty scary in the world right now. Remember to treat everyone with kindness, because that is one way that you can make the world a more beautiful place. Show gratitude towards your family. Keep in contact with your friends and your teachers. Do your studies so that you can have more and more opportunities, just like Miss Rumphius, who wanted to travel the world and live by the sea. And you have your whole life to figure out ways to make the world a more beautiful place. And just by being you, you are making it a more beautiful place. Remember that. We're glad that you're here. We're glad that you're a part of the Los Niños community. And we're glad that you are a member of our global community too. All my love to you and your family. I hope to see you again someday soon. Take care.